Good Wednesday, everyone. Jazz Borgonzo here. Another episode of What's Next, your daily dose. Well, with the unfortunate tragedy that happened over the July 4th weekend, of course, in Highland Park, Chicago. Of course, Chicago, who has been known for its urban devastation and damage in regards to its shootings. Of course, 6 people are dead, 24 injured by a mentally ill, deranged piece of garbage, but yet Chicago ignored 54 people who got shot over that same weekend. But then again, it's called facts. But we're gonna take a side step. And unfortunately, this is a place I haven't been to in a while, and I do not like going here, but sadly, this is the world we live in, and we are going back to the land of woke, and specifically, the joys of Reed. Let's take a look. This comes out of Breitbart. MSNBC guest were, quote, slaves to, quote, ancient constitutional causing tragedies. Georgetown University Law School professor Rosa Brooks, excuse me, wow, talk about a slip of the tongue, said on MSNBC's during Tuesday's broadcast of Joy Reid's show, the racist lady, or the race lady as Tucker Carlson calls her, that Americans were, quote, slaves to the U.S. Constitution. She said it was written by a tiny group of white slaving-owning men. Yes. Angry Joy Reid said, what do you make of this sense that we are now essentially living in the mercy of whoever can go into a store and buy an AR-15 and decide to shoot whoever is available? Wow, the lack of self-awareness, holy cow. Brooks said, I was thinking, boy, those sounds you hear in war zones, and there are people all over the world who have lived during armed conflicts. And when does the mortar fall on your house? When does the soldier or the tank come down the streets and just kill you? We are now living in that world too. And we have brought it on upon ourselves. We can't say, oops, it's the Russians' fault. They should have invaded us. Well, guess what? President Dementia blames Putin every single day on every single thing. Of course, the guest added, this is us. We're 100% us. It's because we're essentially slaves to a document that was written more than 230 years ago by a tiny group of white, racist, slave-owning men. We cannot break out of the bondage that we have imposed on ourselves by feeling like we have to everything by our Supreme Court, which of course is white and racist itself, is decided to reference this ancient document, which is just not serving us well. It's causing us enormous problems and enormous tragedies at this point. But let's hear a little bit, shall we?
So that's something you hear often from, when the right sort of tries to go after Chicago. This is a suburb of Chicago. It didn't take place in Chicago. They say, oh, Chicago, which, by the way, is not, the most unsafe city in America, but they use that as a crutch. But there is no city that's not Chicago, right? Whatever you want to think of cities that have a lot of unfortunate gun death, it's everywhere. There is no safe place to go. This is a very affluent, largely Jewish suburb. Of people, the kind of idyllic kind of place that you would think of in America. You're not safe there. You're not safe in Uvalde, Texas. You're not safe literally anywhere, Buffalo, New York, in a store. And so, Tom Nichols wrote a really great piece where he talked about the fact that this is terrorism in the sense that it does the same thing terrorism does. It makes you feel unsafe everywhere. You have to think, is this the day when I go to this park when I'm going to get shot? You have to think about that all the time.
You can't.
And having more police there doesn't do any good.
You can't think that way, Joy. You cannot think that way, because then you have no life to live. You cannot live your life if you think that way. Just like with the COOF, you cannot think that way.
Shoot whoever's available.
But yet, here we are.
Joy, I've worked in conflict zones around the world, and I was thinking as you showed the footage from Highland Park, I was thinking,
remember, this is a Georgetown law professor, highly educated.
And there are people all over the world who have lived during armed conflicts in daily terror. When does the mortar fall on your house? When does the soldier or the tank come down the street and just kill you? And we are now living in that world too, and we have brought it on ourselves, right? I mean, we can't say, oops, it's the Russians' fault, they shouldn't have invaded us, or, oops, it's Al-Qaeda. This is us. This is 100% us, and it's because we are essentially slaves to a document that was
That's the
written,
word.
more than 230 years ago by a tiny group of white slave-owning men. And we cannot break out of the bondage that we have imposed on ourselves from feeling like we have to. Everything by our Supreme Court is decided in reference to this ancient document, which is just not serving us well. It is causing a.
My thoughts. Well, the fact of the matter is that this supposedly highly educated Georgetown professor is absolutely dead wrong. The fact of the matter is the Constitution is the only document on the planet that allows us the freedoms and liberties that we take advantage, that we hold so dear. A tiny group of white slave owners, and yes, some of them were slave owners, there's no doubt. It's called history. Look it up. But their ideals were on point. In a way, they were slaves to a doctrine, a dogma, a regimental situation going on in England. And they felt that, well, we're going to do things different here. And guess what, lady? 230 plus years later. I'm sorry, 246 years later. The Constitution has served us well. Now, I'm sure that the reason why she was brought into the situation, not just because of what happened in Highland Park or Buffalo or Uvalde, but I'm sure that because of Roe being overturned, of course, that wasn't to her liking. We need to get rid of the Constitution. We need to get rid of the Supreme Court. Yes, just trash it all, burn it all down, and create a utopia, in leftist eyes. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to put her in the leftist aisle because that's exactly how she sounds. She comes off sounding very ignorant regarding the Constitution. Now, I'm sure that she had to bone up on the Constitution to get her law degree. She had to. There was no way she was going to enter Georgetown. And of course, being she is a white woman, of course, privilege. Wow. That's all that needs to be said. And with that being said, I'm Jazz Berganzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more just like this? Please leave a comment below. Like it, share it, subscribe to it. And we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.